Lyrana stared at the vastness of space through the viewport of her escape pod. Her once proud royal garments hung in tatters around her slender blue frame. The last princess of the Zith Empire had nothing left but her life and the strange crystalline pendant that marked her royal status. The imperial palace burned. Her family executed her planet under siege by the ruthless Vex Collective. All because they wanted the secret of the Zith bioharmonic technology, a technology only the royal bloodline could activate. The small pod drifted aimlessly. Lyrana had programmed it to head toward the outer systems, but fuel reserves were critically low. After 3 cycles without food or water, she began to lose hope. Her 6-fingered hand clutched the royal pendant as she slipped in and out of consciousness. A sharp jolt woke her. The pod shuddered violently as something grabbed it. Lyrana felt terror grip her heart. The Vex had found her. But when she looked through the viewport, she saw something. Unexpected. A ship of unfamiliar design had captured her pod in some kind of energy beam. The beings who found her called themselves humans. Lyrana had heard stories about this species from the far reaches of the galaxy. They were considered primitive by Zith standards, yet they had managed faster than light travel. They were also known for their unpredictable nature. The pod door hissed open. Lyrana tried to stand, but her legs gave way. A human female with pale skin and auburn hair caught her before she hit the deck. "Easy there," the human said, her voice soft yet firm. "My name is Kate Morgan, captain of the trade vessel Wanderer. You look like you need help." Lyrana stiffened. Her universal translator processed the human language, but she remained silent. Zith royalty did not accept charity, especially from lesser species. "She needs medical attention," another human female said. This one had darker skin and curly black hair. Her uniform suggested she was some kind of healer. "Dehydration, malnutrition, possibly internal injuries. Take her to medical." Captain Morgan ordered gently. "Abby, she looks like she could break in half." The healer called Abby guided Lyrana through narrow corridors. The ship was small compared to Zith vessels, cluttered with equipment and personal items that spoke of long journeys. The medical bay was similarly compact, but surprisingly well-equipped. Lyrana lay on an examination table, while the human ran various scans. The machine was crude by Zith standards, but functional. She noticed the human healer carefully avoiding touching her royal pendant. "This is Dr. Abby Martinez," Captain Morgan explained as she entered the medical bay. "Best medic in 3 systems. You can trust her." Lyrana remained silent. Her species could go days without speaking when necessary. A defense mechanism evolved over millennia of political intrigue. "Not talkative, I see," Captain Morgan said with a small smile. "No problem. You can explain when you feel ready. In the meantime, we detected a Vex patrol ship about 6 hours behind your trajectory. Those guys friends of yours?" At the mention of the Vex, Lyrana sat upright, fear evident in her large purple eyes. "I take that as a no." The captain said, "Good, we don't like them. Had their nasty habit of stripping ships for parts with the crew still inside. They destroyed my world," Lyrana whispered, finally speaking. The words felt like broken glass in her throat. "They killed everyone." Captain Morgan and Dr. Martinez exchanged glances. Then I suggest we get moving," the captain said. "Abby, patch her up. We jump in 30 minutes. The human ship entered what they called slip space, a method of faster-than-light travel, different from the quantum tunnels used by the Zith. Lyrana watched from her small cabin as stars stretched into lines and then vanished, completely replaced by a swirling tunnel of energy. As days passed, Lyrana slowly regained her strength. The humans provided her with simple clothing, food, and water. They asked few questions, which surprised her. In Zith culture, information was a commodity more valuable than rare metals. These humans seemed content to let her keep her secrets. On the 4th day, Captain Morgan visited her cabin bringing a small device. "Thought. You might want to see this," she said, placing the device on the small table. It projected a news feed from something called the Galactic Information Network. Lyrana watched in horror as images showed her homeworld. The once beautiful crystal cities lay in ruins. Vex harvester ships hovered in low orbit, stripping away centuries of Zith achievement. The last stronghold of the Zith royal family has fallen, the news announcer said. The Vex Collective claims this action was necessary after Zith leaders refused to share their bioharmonic technology with other species. The current death toll is estimated at 3 billion. The royal family is believed to be extinct. Lorana felt her heart stutter in her chest. 3 billion lives. Her entire civilization gone. She had known it was bad, but somehow seeing it confirmed made it real. "I'm sorry," Captain Morgan said quietly. "I thought you should know." "Why show me this?" Lorana asked, her voice barely audible. "Because knowledge is power," the human replied. "And you need to decide what to do next. You may be the last of your kind. The last one who knows the secrets they wanted badly enough to destroy a world." For Lorana looked at the human captain, truly seeing her for the first time. This was not the primitive creature she had been taught about. There was wisdom in those strange rounded eyes, a kind of understanding that transcended species. "Where are you taking me?" Lorana asked. "We're headed to a human colony called New Anchorage," Captain Morgan explained. "It's far enough from main trade routes that the Vex don't bother with it. Small independent place, no official ties to Earth government. You could disappear there if you wanted, or you could find allies." "Allies?" Lorana almost laughed at the absurdity. "I am the last princess of a dead empire. My allies are dead, my resources gone. What could I possibly offer?" Captain Morgan tapped her own forehead. "Knowledge. The thing the Vex wanted badly enough to commit genocide for. Whatever is in that head of yours is valuable. And that pendant you're hiding isn't just jewelry, is it?" Lorana instinctively touched the crystal at her throat. "This is the royal sigil, the key to our highest technologies." "Then you still have something," Captain Morgan said, standing to leave. "Something worth protecting." That night, Lorana lay awake thinking of her lost world, of her family, of everything she had been trained since birth to be: a ruler, a diplomat, a keeper of ancient knowledge. Now, she was none of those things. She was simply the last living relic. The ship hummed softly around her. The humans slept in shifts, two always awake to monitor systems. They took turns bringing her meals, checking her health, treating her not as a prisoner, or even as royalty, but simply as a person in need. This confused her. The Zith had always viewed humans as dangerous, unpredictable, barely civilized creatures who had stumbled onto faster-than-light travel before they had unified their own world. Yet these humans showed compassion, restraint, curiosity. They asked questions but didn't demand answers. They offered help without immediate expectation of return. On the 6th day, Lorana left her cabin and made her way to the ship's small command center. Captain Morgan sat in the central chair studying star charts. A human male monitored communication systems while another female checked engineering readouts. "Our guest emerges," Captain Morgan said with a smile. "Feeling better?" "I wish to be useful," Lorana said stiffly. "It is inappropriate for me to accept your hospitality without contribution." Captain Morgan considered this. "Can you read energy signatures?" "Of course," Lorana replied, somewhat offended. "All Zith nobles are trained in basic sciences." "Good." The captain pointed to a secondary console. "That system needs recalibration. Our usual technician left at the last port. We could use someone with a fresh perspective." The human stepped aside, allowing Lorana to take the Yao seat. The control interface was primitive compared to Zith technology, but the principles were the same. Energy patterns, quantum fluctuations, matter density. The universe spoke the same language regardless of who was listening. Lorana worked silently, for hours, adjusting scanning parameters, optimizing detection algorithms. She found herself almost enjoying the simple work, so different from the complex political maneuvers that had dominated her life since childhood. "This is impressive, Captain," Morgan said, examining Lorana's work. "You've improved our sensor range by 30%. Your systems are inefficient," Lorana said, "but the design is clever, adaptable. That's humans for you." The captain replied, "We make, do we adapt? We survive." Lorana looked at her. Is that why you rescued me, to adapt my knowledge for your benefit? Captain Morgan laughed. Not everything has an angle, Princess. Some things we do just because they're right. You were dying. Your pod had maybe 2 days of life support left. What kind of people would we be if we just flew past? Practical ones. Lorana answered honestly. Saving a Zith royal brings the attention of the Vex. You endanger yourselves. Maybe, Captain Morgan shrugged, but a life saved is never wasted, and who knows, your knowledge might just save us all someday. 2 weeks passed aboard the Wanderer. Lorana found herself settling into the rhythm of ship life. The crew consisted of just 5 humans: Captain Kate Morgan, Dr. Abby Martinez, the communications specialist, Olivia the engineer, Susan, and a security officer named Tanya. They operated with an efficiency that surprised Lorana, despite their seemingly casual approach to hierarchy. The ship emerged from slip space near the new Anchorage colony. Lorana watched from the viewport as they approached, a small rocky moon orbiting a gas giant. Buildings clustered under protective domes connected by transparent tunnels. The colony was far smaller than even the most minor Zith outposts, but there was something vibrant about it. Vessels of various designs docked at the central hub. Welcome to New Anchorage, Captain Morgan said, joining her at the viewport. Not much to look at, but it's home to about 30,000 humans and a few thousand others, various species who prefer to live beyond the reach of big governments and corporate interests. Others. Lorana turned to her. There are other aliens here. Of course, Captain Morgan replied. This region is a crossroads of sorts, neutral territory. We trade, we talk, we mostly get along. Not everyone wants to be part of grand empires or collectives. Some folks just want to live their lives. The idea seemed strange to Lorana. In Zith culture, everything served the greater empire. Individual desires were secondary to the needs of civilization. Progress was directed, controlled, measured. It was why the Zith had achieved such technological marvels while other species floundered. The Wanderer docked at one of the smaller berths. The crew prepared to unload cargo, mostly medical supplies replacement, parts and what the humans called luxury goods, chocolate coffee, and something called strawberry preserves. Apparently these items were highly valued on frontier colonies. What will happen to me now? Lorana asked as they prepared to disembark. Her royal training had taught her to always understand her position in any negotiation. That's up to you, Captain Morgan said. You could stay on New Anchorage, find work, make a new life. Or if you prefer, we always need a good sensor technician. The Wanderer has another run scheduled in 2 weeks. Lorana was startled by the offer. You would allow me to join your crew as Ith, the last royal? Why not? Captain Morgan shrugged. You've proved useful. You learn fast, and frankly, having someone who can spot Vex energy signatures from twice the normal distance would be valuable. The Vex will be hunting me. Lorana reminded her. They will not stop until they have the secrets of bioharmonic technology. All the more reason to stay with people who already know what you're running from, Captain Morgan countered. But the choice is yours. We don't force anyone on this ship. The concept of choice was another strange human idea. To the Zith, life was predetermined. Royal children were designed for specific roles. Their education, training, even genetic modifications tailored to their future position. Freedom of choice was a luxury reserved for lesser species. They disembarked into the controlled chaos of New Anchorage. The docking bay bustled with activity. Humans, aliens, and robots moving cargo, negotiating trades, exchanging news. Lorana stayed close to Dr. Martinez, overwhelmed by the sensory input. The smells, sounds, and sights were unlike anything in the carefully ordered Zith Empire. First time on a frontier colony, Dr. Martinez asked, noticing her discomfort. I have never been anywhere like this, Lorana admitted. It is so unstructured. Dr. Martinez smiled. That's what makes it work. People figuring things out as they go, each bringing their own skills and perspectives. Come on, Kate wants you to meet someone. They made their way through crowded corridors and market stalls. Captain Morgan led them to a small workshop tucked between larger establishments. The sign displayed an intricate pattern of circuits and what appeared to be organic material, Inside they found a human female with gray hair bent over a workbench. Her fingers manipulated tiny components with surprising precision. Diane, Captain Morgan called. Got a minute? Taiki. Woman looked up. Her eyes widened when she saw Lorana. A Zith noble on New Anchorage must be my lucky day. How did you know what I am? Lorana asked. Startled, Diane tapped her temple. 20 years as a xenoanthropologist before opening this shop. The facial ridge patterns, the distinctive six-fingered hands. And that pendant you're trying to hide is a Zith royal sigil, unless I'm very much mistaken. Lorana instinctively touched the crystalline pendant. You know of my people. I studied your civilization for years, Diane said, setting aside her tools. The bioharmonic technology of the Zith is legendary, the perfect melding of organic and mechanical systems, but access was always restricted. The royal families guarded their secrets closely. With good reason, Lorana said bitterly. Look what happened when others wanted those secrets. The Vex. Diane nodded grimly. Scavengers, thieves. They take what they don't understand and break it apart. The galaxy lost something precious when they attacked your world. Captain Morgan stepped forward. Diane is one of the foremost experts on xenotechnology outside of corporate research divisions. She might be able to help you. Help me how? Lorana asked. Your pendant. Diane gestured to the crystal. It's more than jewelry. It's a key, isn't it? Part of your bioharmonic systems. Lorana hesitated, then nodded. It contains the genetic codes and operational parameters for our highest technologies. Only those of royal blood can activate it. I've collected Zith artifacts for years, Diane said. Small pieces, nothing spectacular, mostly discarded or abandoned items from old outposts. Never could get them to work, but with a royal key and someone who knows how to use it. The implication hung in the air. Lorana felt conflicting emotions. The Zith had kept their technology secret for millennia. Sharing it with outsiders was forbidden, yet her civilization was gone. She was the last keeper of that knowledge. I need to think, Lorana said. Of course, Diane nodded. It's a lot to consider. Captain Morgan mentioned you might stay aboard the Wanderer. They dock here regularly. You have time. That evening, Lorana sat in the small quarters Captain Morgan had arranged for her at the colony. The room was simple but comfortable. A window looked out over the dome-covered settlement below. People moved through the streets. Markets remained open, even during the artificial night cycle. Different species interacted with a casual familiarity that seemed alien to her. Her pendant glowed softly in the dim light. The genetic key to Zith bioharmonic technology, something the Vex had destroyed an entire civilization to obtain. Now it rested in her hands. The last of its kind, like her a soft chime indicated. Someone at her door. Enter, she called. Dr. Martinez stepped inside carrying a small package. Thought you might be hungry. Brought you some local food. Nothing fancy but better than ship rations. Lorana accepted the package, finding an assortment of unfamiliar items, fruits, bread, and something that smelled surprisingly good. Thank you, she said. This constant kindness from the humans still confused her. How's the thinking going? Dr. Martinez asked, sitting across from her. I am uncertain, Lorana admitted. My entire life I was taught to protect our technology, to keep it pure within the royal lineage. Now I am the lineage, and I must decide whether to let our achievements die with me or share them with others. Dr. Martinez considered this. When I was young on Earth, there was a great library in a city called Alexandria. It contained thousands of years of human knowledge. Then it burned. Most of that knowledge was lost forever. Entire branches of science, philosophy, art gone. Is that what you want for your people's legacy? The Zith would say it is better than letting our technology fall into unworthy hands, Lorana replied. And who decides who is worthy? Dr. Martinez asked gently. The Vex decide by taking. The Zith decided by keeping. But there is a middle path, sharing with those who will respect and preserve. Lorana looked at the human healer. Why do you care about Zith knowledge? Your civilization is different from ours. Your values, your methods, your goals. Because knowledge itself has value, Dr. Martinez said simply. Because the universe is poorer when unique perspectives are lost. When the Vex destroyed your world, they didn't just kill people. They killed ideas, possibilities, futures, entire ways of seeing reality. The human stood to leave. Just something to consider. We will support whatever you decide, but remember, you don't have to carry this burden alone. After Dr. Martinez left, Lorana stared at her pendant for a long time. The crystal caught the light, fracturing it into patterns that danced across the walls, patterns that contained the mathematical principles of bioharmonic technology. The next morning, she made her way back to Diane's workshop. The human was already at work assembling some kind of communication device. She looked up as Lorana entered. "I need to see these Zith artifacts you have collected," Lorana said without preamble. Diane smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." The human led her to a back room. The space was cluttered with storage containers. Diane opened several, revealing an assortment of Zith technology. Most were basic items: environmental regulators, medical scanners, communication devices, all dormant without the bioharmonic key to activate them. Lorana picked up a small spherical device. "This is a molecular stabilizer, basic medical technology, but still functional." She held her pendant near it. The crystal glowed. The sphere responded with matching light patterns. Suddenly, the device hummed to life, internal. Components shifting, reorganizing, remarkable. Diane whispered, watching the transformation. The work began slowly. Lorana and Diane spent days cataloging the Zith artifacts, determining which were still functional and which could be repaired. They converted a section of Diane's workshop into a bioharmonic laboratory. The space looked strange. To Lorana, a mixture of human engineering tools and Zith organic technology. Captain Morgan visited regularly, bringing salvaged components from her trading runs. The Wanderer crew had spread word among trusted contacts that they would pay well for any Zith technology they found. Soon small pieces began arriving from across the frontier worlds. "People are curious," Captain Morgan told Lorana one evening as they examined a recently delivered bioharmonic regulator. "Word is spreading about a Zith working on new anchorage." "Is that dangerous?" Lorana asked. The Vex don't bother much with frontier colonies," Captain Morgan replied. "Too small, too scattered, not enough resources to make it worth their effort. Still, we should be careful. We keep your identity vague, just a Zith scientist, not the last royal." Lorana appreciated the precaution, though she wondered how long such secrets could be maintained. Frontier colonies thrived on information and gossip. The first breakthrough came 3 months after Lorana's arrival on New Anchorage. She and Diane had been working to adapt a Zith medical scanner for human physiology. The device, originally designed to read Zith biosignatures, needed significant modification to interpret human biological patterns. "The genetic structures are too different," Diane said after another failed attempt. "The scanner can't recognize human cell patterns." "The problem is not recognition, but translation," Lorana corrected. "The scanner sees the patterns, but lacks the reference point to interpret them." She held her pendant over the device. The crystal glowed as it interfaced with the scanner. Lorana closed her eyes, concentrating on the bioharmonic frequencies flowing between the technologies. "What are you doing?" Diane asked, watching in fascination. "Teaching it," Lorana explained without opening her eyes. "The pendant contains the base genetic codes of all Zith royal lineages. I am adding human genetic patterns to its reference library." The scanner hummed, changing color from blue to purple, then back again. When Lorana opened her eyes, the device had transformed. Its outer casing now featured small tendril-like extensions that pulsed with soft light. "Try it now," she told Diane. The human scientist placed her hand on the scanner. Surface tendrils gently wrapped around her wrist. The display illuminated, showing detailed biological information: heart rate, blood chemistry, neural activity, cellular health, all displayed in 3-dimensional holographic form. "This is incredible," Diane whispered. "Commercial medical scanners take samples invasive procedures. This just reads it all instantly." "It does more than read," Lorana said. "Watch." She adjusted settings on the device. The tendrils around Diane's wrist pulsed. The holographic display highlighted a small area in the human's shoulder showing cellular inflammation. "You have damage here, old injury." Diane looked surprised. "Dislocated my shoulder 3 years ago, it still aches sometimes. How did you—" "The scanner detected abnormal cellular patterns," Lorana explained. "It can identify injuries, illness, genetic predispositions, anything that deviates from optimal function." "The medical applications alone." Diane shook her head in wonder. "This could revolutionize healthcare, especially in frontier colonies where medical facilities are limited." News of their achievement spread quickly through New Anchorage. The colony administrator, a stern human female named Grace, visited their laboratory to see the scanner herself. "If this works as described, it could save countless lives," she said. After Diane demonstrated the device, "How many can you build?" "That is the challenge," Lorana explained. "Each unit requires bioharmonic components that are increasingly rare, and they must be activated with royal genetic codes, meaning they need you," Grace concluded. "For now, yes," Lorana admitted. "But I am working on a solution." That solution came in the form of what Lorana called seed crystals, small fragments of a royal pendant programmed with specific functions and limited activation parameters. They could not replicate the full capabilities of Zith bioharmonic technology, but they could power individual devices without her direct involvement. The first batch of medical scanners equipped with seed crystals went into service at the New Anchorage Medical Center. Dr. Martinez oversaw their implementation, training other medical staff in their operation. The results were immediate. Diagnosis times decreased. Treatment outcomes improved. Patients who would have died from undetected conditions were saved. 6 months after Lorana's arrival on New Anchorage, the colony had changed. Human and alien scientists began arriving, drawn by rumors of the bioharmonic technology. Trade increased as visitors came to see the miracle devices. The once small outpost began to grow. Not all attention was welcome. Lorana noticed unfamiliar ships occasionally passing through the system. Never docking, just observing. Captain Morgan reported increased Vex activity in nearby sectors. "They haven't connected you to New Anchorage yet," she assured Lorana. "But they're looking. The destruction of the Zith homeworld didn't give them what they wanted. They know someone escaped with the royal technology." Lorana worked with renewed urgency. Her next project focused on defensive applications of bioharmonic technology. The Zith had never developed weapons in the traditional sense. Instead, they created systems that could manipulate energy fields, protecting their worlds from both natural disasters and outside threats. Working with Susan the Wanderer's engineer, Lorana adapted the principles to create a planetary shield generator. The device looked deceptively simple. A crystalline core surrounded by organic circuitry housed in a metal frame. Yet when activated, it could project an energy field capable of deflecting most weapons fire and harmful radiation. "It's beautiful," Susan said, watching the test field shimmer around their laboratory, almost alive. "It is alive in a sense," Lorana explained. "Bioharmonic technology blends organic and mechanical. The shield learns, adapts, grows stronger. Where attacked, weaker. Where unnecessary, it conserves energy." "Could it protect the entire colony?" "With sufficient power, yes," Lorana confirmed. "But the Vex would recognize it immediately as Zith technology. It would confirm my presence here." "So we disguise it," Susan suggested. "Make it look like standard human shield technology on the surface. Only we would know its true nature." The plan had merit. Lorana realized. The Vex looked for specific energy signatures, the distinctive patterns of royal Zith technology. If those signatures were masked, hidden beneath layers of human engineering, perhaps they could protect New Anchorage without revealing her presence. The SHIELD project became their priority. Grace authorized resources and personnel. The colony's engineering team worked alongside Lorana, and her human partner's integration with the existing power grid proved challenging. Human energy systems were crude by Zith standards, inefficient and unstable. "We need a buffer," Lorana told Susan after another failed test. "Something to regulate the power flow between your generators and the bioharmonic matrix." "What about the environmental regulators?" Susan suggested. "The ones from the abandoned Zith outpost Captain Morgan found. They were designed to process and purify energy." The solution worked better than expected. The environmental regulators not only stabilized the power flow but increased efficiency by 30%. The shield generator hummed to life, projecting an invisible dome over the central colony structures. "It's only partial coverage," Grace noted, examining the readouts. "The outer habitats are still exposed. For now," Lorana agreed. "As we refine the system, we can expand the shield, but this protects our most critical infrastructure." That night, Lorana stood on the observation deck watching stars wheeling slowly overhead. The artificial gravity of New Anchorage was lighter than her homeworld, making her feel constantly as if she might float away. A fitting sensation for someone adrift in the universe. She heard footsteps behind her and turned to see Olivia, the Wanderer's communications specialist, approaching. "Thought I might find you here," Olivia said, joining her at the viewport. "You come here often." "The stars are the same," Lorana said softly. "No matter where you are in the galaxy, the patterns change, but the light remains. I find it comforting." Olivia nodded. "I understand the constants in an inconstant universe." They stood in companionable silence for a time. Then Olivia spoke. "We intercepted something today. Vex communications encrypted, but we got enough Captain Morgan thought you should know." Lorana felt her hearts quicken. "What did they say?" "They mentioned bioharmonic energy signatures detected in this sector," Olivia reported. "Nothing specific about New Anchorage, but they're getting closer. They know someone survived." "The shield," Lorana realized, "even disguised it emits trace signatures. Captain thinks we have time." Olivia assured her. "The Vex are methodical. They'll search every system in the sector before pinpointing the source. Could be months or weeks." Lorana countered, "We must accelerate our plans." The next day she called a meeting. Grace, Captain Morgan, Diane, Susan, Dr. Martinez, and several other trusted colonists gathered in the secure conference room. "The Vex will find us eventually," Lorana began without preamble. "When they do, they will come in force. They want the bioharmonic technology badly enough to destroy an entire civilization. They will not hesitate to eliminate one small colony. We've been preparing for this," Grace reminded her. "The shield, the early warning systems." The preparation began immediately. The colony mobilized with surprising efficiency. Grace declared a state of alert. But rather than causing panic, the announcement seemed to galvanize the population of New Anchorage. Humans and aliens alike volunteered. For defense teams, construction crews, technical support. "Your people are strange," Lorana commented to Captain Morgan as they watched colonists reinforcing the main power conduits. "They seem almost excited by the prospect of danger." "Frontier people," Morgan explained. "They came here knowing the risks, accepting the challenges. Most have faced hardship before. They know how to pull together when threatened." The transformation of New Anchorage accelerated. Buildings were retrofitted with bioharmonic components, defense systems integrated with the expanding shield network. Medical facilities enhanced with Zith technology. The colony began to take on a hybrid appearance, neither fully human nor Zith, but something new, something unique. At the center of it all stood Lorana, the last Zith royal, now leading a diverse team of scientists, engineers, and technicians. Her royal training had prepared her to command. But this was different. These people followed not because of her birth or status, but because of her knowledge, her vision, her willingness to share what had once been kept secret. The Wanderer made its final run before the expected Vex arrival. Captain Morgan had contacts throughout the sector ships that might come to their aid when needed allies who opposed Vex expansion. She returned with a hold full of supplies, weapons, and additional bioharmonic components salvaged from abandoned Zith outposts. "This is everything I could find," she told Lorana as they unloaded the cargo. "Not much, but every piece helps." Among the salvage was a treasure, a bioharmonic communication array intact and functional. With it, they could extend their sensor range, detect Vex ships earlier, and perhaps most importantly, send messages to other systems faster than traditional human methods. "With this, we can call for help coordinate defense," Lorana said, examining the device. "The Vex will not expect such capabilities from a frontier colony." The integration of the communication array became Lorana's focus. She worked tirelessly, adapting the Zith technology to human systems. The task was complex, requiring her to remain in constant contact with the bioharmonic network through her pendant. The strain was visible. She grew thinner, her blue skin paling to a lighter shade, her movements slower, more deliberate. Dr. Martinez found her one evening slumped over her workstation, the pendant glowing brightly against her chest. "You're pushing too hard," the doctor said, helping her to a chair, scanning her with one of the modified medical devices. "Your biological systems are showing stress, extreme fatigue, cellular degradation." "There is no time for rest," Lorana insisted. "The network must be completed before the Vex arrive. You won't live to see it if you continue this way," Dr. Martinez countered. "The bioharmonic link is draining you. Your pendant was designed to interface with Zith royal biology for short periods, not continuous use." Lorana knew the doctor was right. The pendant was consuming her life energy to power the growing network, a price she had accepted, but one that was higher than she had anticipated. "I must continue," she said simply. "The work is too important." Dr. Martinez sighed. "Then at least let me help manage. The symptoms stabilize your condition. Allow others to take on more of the technical work. You focus on the bioharmonic integration." A compromise was reached. Lorana would limit her direct connection with the network to 4 hours each day. The remainder of her time would be spent directing others, teaching them the principles of bioharmonic technology. Susan and Diane proved particularly adept students, quickly grasping concepts that had taken Zith scholars decades to master. 3 weeks after the Wanderer's return, the early warning system detected the first Vex scout ship entering the outer system. A small vessel designed for reconnaissance, not combat. It maintained distance, scanning the planets and moons of the system. "They're looking for bioharmonic signatures," Lorana told the Defense Council. "Testing each world for traces of Zith technology." "Will they detect us?" Grace asked. "Not yet," Lorana assured her. "The shield harmonics are disguised. The network is still forming, not yet at full power. But when they come closer, when they scan new anchorage directly," the implication was clear. Their time was running out. The scout ship completed its survey of the outer planets, then moved inward. Its path would bring it within range of new anchorage within days. "We need to accelerate the final phase," Lorana announced. "The full integration of my pendant with the colony network." "The medical risks," Dr. Martinez began, "are irrelevant now." Lorana cut her off. "The Vex will be here. Soon we must be ready." The integration chamber was prepared, a spherical room at the center of the colony, the walls lined with bioharmonic receivers, the floor inscribed with patterns that mirrored the crystalline structure of Lorana's pendant. In the center stood a simple platform where she would make her final sacrifice. "Once I begin the process, it cannot be interrupted," she explained to the gathered leaders. "The pendant will dissolve its energy, spreading throughout the network. Its physical form will cease, but its essence will remain, powering the bioharmonic defense system." "And you?" Captain Morgan asked the question others hesitated to voice. "What happens to you?" Lorana met her gaze steadily. "I am the last royal. The pendant is bonded to my genetic structure. My life force will transfer with it. I will become part of the network. My consciousness preserved within the bioharmonic matrix." Silence fell over the room. The implications sank in. This was not merely the use of a tool. This Was transformation a merging of the biological and technological on a scale none of them had imagined? There must be another way, Diane protested. We can find more components, build an alternate power source. There is no time, Lorana said gently. This was always the destination of our work. The pendant alone is not enough to power the network. It requires a consciousness to direct it, to make the thousands of decisions needed in combat. That consciousness must be mine. It's suicide, Dr. Martinez said bluntly. It is evolution, Lorana corrected. My people believed that consciousness was not limited to biological form, that it could exist within the bioharmonic matrix. This is not death, it is transformation. The debate continued for hours, but in the end they accepted the inevitable. The Vex were coming. Their conventional defenses would not be enough. Only the full bioharmonic network, powered by the royal pendant and guided by Lorana's consciousness, could hope to protect New Anchorage. The next day, as the Vex scout ship moved closer to their moon, Lorana prepared for the integration ritual. She bathed in purified water following the ancient traditions of her people. She wore a simple white robe, provided by Diane, who had studied Zith ceremonial practices. Captain Morgan found her in her quarters making final preparations. I wanted to thank you, the human said, standing awkwardly in the doorway, for everything you've done for us, for trusting us with your knowledge. Lorana smiled. It is I who should thank you. Without your rescue, without your acceptance, I would have died alone. The last of my kind forgotten. My civilization's achievements lost. Now something of us will live on. Will you? Morgan asked hesitantly. Live on, I mean, will you be conscious aware within the network? I believe so, Lorana replied. The bioharmonic matrix can sustain consciousness, but it will be different. I will perceive differently, experience differently. My awareness will extend throughout the colony, sensing through the network rather than a single body. Will you remember us? Yes, Lorana assured her. Memory, consciousness, identity. These remain. The form changes, but the essence persists. They walked together to the integration chamber. A crowd had gathered in the corridors, colonists come to witness the event to pay respects. Many bowed as she passed, a gesture she found touching, unnecessary but meaningful. The chamber glowed with soft blue light, bioharmonic energy already flowing. Through the prepared circuits, Diane waited at the control panel. Susan and Dr. Martinez stood nearby, their expressions solemn. The Vex Scout has changed course, Grace reported, entering the chamber. It's heading directly for New Anchorage estimated. Arrival 12 hours. Then we begin, Lorana said. She stepped onto the platform. The pendant at her throat pulsed in rhythm with the patterns on the floor. She felt its warmth spreading through her body, the familiar sensation of bioharmonic energy flowing between her and the crystal. Diane activated the sequence. The chamber hummed as power built around them. Lorana closed her eyes, focusing on the connection, drawing the energy of the pendant into herself, then outward into the waiting network. It's working, Susan whispered, watching displays. The network is accepting the integration. The power levels are stabilizing. Lorana felt herself stretching, her consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of her physical form. She could sense the colony, the buildings, the systems, the people, their life energy, their emotions, their thoughts. Not in detail, but as patterns, flows, currents in a vast ocean of data. The pendant grew hotter, its crystalline structure beginning to break down. Energy pouring from it into the network, into her and through her. Pain flared, then faded, replaced by a strange euphoria, the sensation of limitation falling away, of boundaries dissolving. The Vex arrived not as a single scout, but as a fleet 8 warship surrounding a massive harvester vessel. They emerged from hyperspace without warning, positioning themselves around New Anchorage. Their weapon systems powered up communications, arrays broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention, human colony. This is Commander Vextral of the Collective. Our scans detect Zith bioharmonic technology in your settlement. Surrender the royal and all Zith artifacts immediately. Failure to comply will result in your destruction. You have 1 hour to respond. In the defense center, Grace and Captain Morgan exchanged glances. The colonists had prepared for this moment, but the reality of 8 Vex warships looming over their small settlement was still terrifying. "What do we tell them?" Grace asked. "Nothing yet," Captain Morgan advised. "Let them wait. Let them wonder. It gives our allies time to respond to our distress call." Throughout the colony, Lorana's consciousness flowed. She experienced the fear of the colonists, the determination of the defense teams, the calculated patience of the Vex commanders. She could sense the energy signatures of the enemy vessels, their weapons, their shields, their communication patterns. "I can disrupt their targeting systems." Her voice emerged from the communication array in the defense center. "Their weapons use quantum alignment similar to Zith technology. I can introduce harmonic interference." "Do it," Grace ordered, "and activate the shield." The bioharmonic shield shimmered into existence surrounding New Anchorage. Its appearance startled the Vex, their scanning intensified. "Human colony. You are harboring stolen Zith technology. This shield configuration is recognized as Royal Bioharmonic Design. Surrender." Now Captain Morgan activated the communication system. "This is Captain Kate Morgan of New Anchorage. We have no Zith royals here. This is our technology developed independently. We claim sovereign rights under galactic common law. A lie, but one that might buy time." The Vex commanders would be confused, uncertain. The shield should not exist without a royal to activate it. "Prepare for orbital bombardment." The Vex commander responded. "You were warned." The Vex ships fired. Energy weapons lanced toward the colony. The shield flared, intercepting the assault. The impact sent tremors through New Anchorage, but the barrier held. Shield integrity at 90%. Susan reported, "The bioharmonic matrix is adapting, reinforcing the impact points." This was new behavior. Human shields typically weakened under fire. This one grew stronger. The Vex weapons hit again and again. Each impact absorbed, analyzed, countered. Lorana directing the defense, adjusting frequencies, manipulating energy flows in ways no computer could match. "Their weapons are ineffective against the adaptive shield," Lorana's voice reported, "but they are bringing the harvester vessel closer. Its main cannon can penetrate our defenses. We must neutralize it." "How?" Captain Morgan asked. "Our weapons can't reach them in orbit." The communication array, Lorana explained. "If reconfigured, it could transmit a focused bioharmonic pulse, disrupt their systems temporarily. Do it." Grace authorized. Lorana redirected her consciousness, focusing on the communication array, transforming it from receiver to weapon. The process was delicate, complex. The equipment not designed for such power, but her awareness extended through every circuit, every component. She could sense the optimal configurations. "Ready," she announced, targeting harvester vessel, main power core. The array hummed building energy. The colony lights dimmed as power diverted to the weapon. A pulse of blue energy erupted from the central spire of New Anchorage. It struck the harvester vessel. Its shields flickered, failed. The ship listed power systems fluctuating. Direct hit. Susan cheered. "They're disabled." "Temporarily," Lorana cautioned. "Their redundant systems are already compensating." The Vex responded. With renewed fury, the warships concentrated fire on the colony shield, seeking weaknesses, patterns, vulnerabilities. The harvester vessel withdrew to a safe distance, shield integrity at 70%. Susan reported, "Power reserves dropping. Can't maintain this indefinitely. Incoming transmission." Olivia announced, multiple ships entering the system. The view screen activated, showing a familiar face, Captain Elaine Reynolds of the Frontier Alliance. Her weathered features broke into a grim smile. "Morgan, looks like you started the party without us, Reynolds." Captain Morgan grinned. "Your timing is perfect." "Got your distress call?" Reynolds replied. "Brought some friends. The Vex have been a problem for all of us lately, the sensor display confirmed her words. 20 ships of various designs appeared at the system edge. Frontier Alliance vessels, independent traders, even a few corporate security ships, all answering New Anchorage's call. The Vex are adjusting formation, Lirana reported, repositioning to engage the new arrivals. Perfect. Captain Morgan said, that splits their attention. The battle in orbit turned chaotic Vex precision formation disrupted by the unorthodox tactics of the frontier ships. The Harvester vessel pulled back, protected by 4 warships while the others engaged the newcomers. This is our opportunity, Lirana said. The Harvester is their command center. Disable it, and the warships will retreat. How? Grace asked. Our pulse weapon depleted most of our power reserves. There is another way, Lirana replied. The bioharmonic network can project my consciousness beyond the colony. Through the communication array, I can directly interface with their systems. You can hack their ships, Susan translated from inside our network. Not hack, Lirana corrected. Harmonize, introduce conflicting patterns. The Vex use stolen Zith technology. They don't fully understand it, I do. The risk was immense. Extending her consciousness beyond the safety of the network would expose her to Vex countermeasures. But the alternative was the destruction of New Anchorage. Do it. Grace authorized. Lirana gathered her awareness, focusing it into a coherent stream. The communication array directed her consciousness outward beyond the shield, through space to the Harvester vessel. She felt the cold alienness of Vex technology, their crude adaptations of Zith bioharmonics. Powerful but flawed, she slipped through their defenses following familiar patterns, finding the harmonics that resonated with her royal genetic code systems recognized her, responded centuries of Zith design principles embedded in stolen technology. She moved through their ship, a ghost in their machine. The Vex became aware of the intrusion. Security protocols activated, countermeasures deployed, but Lirana was everywhere and nowhere, flowing through systems faster than they could track. Her consciousness divided, reunited, shifted, unpredictable in ways their logic couldn't anticipate. She found their power core, the quantum reactor that drove the massive ship its control systems were based on. Zith designs modified, corrupted but recognizable. She altered harmonics, introduced conflicting patterns. The reactor fluctuated, energy spiking, then dropping. Warning alarms blared throughout the Vex vessel. Commanders shouted contradictory orders. Crews abandoned posts as systems failed. Lights flickered. Environmental controls malfunctioned. Weapons went offline. Return to the network, Captain Morgan urged, watching Lirana's consciousness indicator flickering. You've done enough. Lirana hesitated. There was more she could do, more damage she could inflict. The Vex had destroyed her world, killed her people. Part of her wanted vengeance, wanted to overload the Harvester core, destroy them all. But that was not the Zith way. Not truly. Destruction was the path of the Vex. The Zith had always valued creation, harmony, balance. She had found a new purpose on New Anchorage, a new beginning. She would not taint it with an act of genocide. She withdrew her consciousness, flowing back through space, back to the safety of the bioharmonic network. The effort had depleted her, stretched her awareness to its limits, but she had succeeded. In orbit, the Harvester vessel drifted powerless. The surrounding warships moved to protect it, forming a defensive screen. The remaining Vex ships disengaged from battle, retreating to regroup, their withdrawing. Susan reported, all Vex vessels moving away from New Anchorage, Captain. Reynolds' face appeared on the view screen. Whatever you did worked. They're running. I don't think I've ever seen the Vex retreat like this. Celebrations erupted throughout the colony. People cheered, embraced, wept with relief. The defense had succeeded. Against overwhelming odds, New Anchorage had survived. In the aftermath, as the Allied ships established defensive positions around the moon, Lirana observed through the network's sensors. She felt strangely at peace. Her physical form was gone, but her consciousness remained, more than survived, transformed. She could sense the colony, every person. every system. Her awareness extended throughout the settlement. A guardian, a protector captain. Morgan stood alone in the integration chamber. The space, where Lorana had sacrificed her physical form, now the heart of the bioharmonic network. The patterns on the floor pulsed gently with blue light. "Can you hear me?" she asked, always. Lorana's voice emerged from the patterns. "My awareness is everywhere, in the colony." How does it feel to be like this? Lorana considered the question. How to explain the inexplicable? The sensation of existing without a body, of perceiving through countless sensors, of processing information at speeds impossible for biological minds. "Different," she said finally, "but not unpleasant. I see more, feel more, understand more. My consciousness has expanded beyond the limitations of physical form." "Do you regret it?" Morgan asked. "Your sacrifice,